Hello, thank you for joining me again. If you are new here, my name is Jasmine and I am a colored pencil artist, but this is my second channel where I tell stories, do TV commentary, and movie reviews. Today is story time, and I'm going to tell you about the time my brother's car got stolen right from in front of our house. This was 2 years ago already. That's nuts. I think it was 2 years ago. I believe it was 2021. So around 9 p.m. I had fallen asleep while I was reading in the living room. At that time, my older brother, he worked overnights and he had two cars. He likes cars from the 90s. One of the cars was an Acura. I'll show you a picture of it. And this is a car that one of his friends had given him. So he didn't pay for it, but my brother ended up putting money into the car to get it operable. He would take turns driving each of his cars to work. Something you should know about my brother is that he is really meticulous about keeping his vehicles super clean and in good working condition. Some people are like that. They just take pride in the things that they have. He sometimes parked the Acura on the street, which he did on this particular day. The first car he had was a Toyota Celica, which he parked in the driveway. Since he was going to be driving the Acura to work, he just had it parked on the street. I was already asleep and I didn't hear him leave, but I heard him come back into the house and he was starting to panic saying, "My car is gone." My mom's like, "What? Which car?" And he's like, "The Acura, it's gone. There's just a bunch of glass in the street." So in my neighborhood, there's a lot of cars that sounded similar to his because of the exhaust system. So my mom said that she had heard a car driving, but she didn't think anything of it. She thought it was one of the neighbors. He ended up calling the police and he didn't go to work for several hours. So I was up late even though I had to work the next day just to see if he had heard anything from the police or if they were going to show up. You know when something happens and you're just like awake, you're just wide awake for hours? Yeah, that was me. The next day, all of us had posted on Facebook with pictures of his car, hoping that anyone may see it, even though we're in a pretty large city. But it was an unusual looking car and that was an unusual color. Other people were sharing it and behold, somebody reported seeing a car that looked like his driving around just miles away. I think he had found about it from one of his friends. So when you put lost items like that on social media, you just never know who's going to keep an eye out for it. Sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack. You don't know if anybody is even going to see it among all the other posts, but it was just kind of like a let's just post it and see what comes of it. The very next day was when that person reported seeing some guy driving his car. It may have been my brother's friend that told him, but he said that the car was spray painted another color. I do have pictures and I will put those up for you guys. That way you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I tell you about this car's uncommon appearance. Even more so unusual appearance after the thief repainted the car. My brother and one of his friends drove to the other side of town to where someone reported seeing it, and they actually do see the car in traffic, believe it or not. I get my years mixed up. If I show you the Facebook post, you'll see the year on there. It wasn't that long ago. So they see the car in traffic and they begin to follow it. Unfortunately, during this pursuit, they did lose the car in traffic. Found all of this out when I returned from work the next day. Later in the day, my mom and I decided to travel to the other side of town, like a search party for this car. The information about where it was pretty specific. So we had it at least narrowed down to like a certain part of town. During this situation, I learned about this thing called the skeleton key. It's basically a master key for certain models of cars. Some older cars work with this skeleton key. Somebody can just insert the key into the car and then they have full access to your car. They can steal it or whatever. We drove up and down all of these streets for over 2 hours, but we could not find any trace of the car. Fast forward to the next week, my brother gets a call from the police and they found his car on the side of the road. The thief, I guess, had abandoned it not too far actually from where we live. This was about 9 days later, which is pretty surprising to even recover a car. My brother went and he got his car back. The inside of the car was completely trashed. There was trash all over the place. The guy spray painted the car, but he spray painted it with the windows down because he's a genius. He was so smart, he didn't even bother to roll up the freaking window. So there was overspray all over the car's interior. And I have been in that car. When my brother had that car was spotless inside. He doesn't even leave like packages of food or anything in his car. The thief left behind some interesting things. For one, he left behind a bag of tools. So my brother obviously kept those. As you can see, the car used to be a forest green. The thief spray painted it several colors. It was a really ugly, like orange splotchy color, trying to disguise it, I guess. He left a bunch of trash in there. There was paperwork, some paperwork to remind him to pay his child support. So that tells you a lot about who he is as a person. So the paperwork did have the address. We were assuming that the address that was listed on there was the thief, but I don't know, we were not going to be like, oh, well, let's go to this guy's house, and that's not very smart to do, so we didn't do that. You could be out getting a job instead of stealing other people's property. I hate lazy people. But not too much longer after that, my brother ended up selling that car. He tried to clean it up as best as he could, so he did get, you know, some money out of it. I don't really know how much money he put into the car to get it working, but I mean, he made a little bit of money off of that, so somebody ended up buying it. So after that, he ended up going to get a used BMW. It was about a 20-year-old car, I think, and he didn't have that car for very long. It needed a lot of work done, I guess. A lot of the lights on the dash were coming on because everything in that car is digital, even though it's pretty old. So he had to fix a lot of stuff. Actually, one of our house cleaning clients owns a car shop, so my brother took his car there because the guy that owns the shop, he specializes in working on foreign cars. Sometime after that, my brother, he got that car fixed for the most part. He didn't have that car for very long, I'd say a couple of months before he got into an accident. Actually, he tried to avoid an accident and he pretty much totaled his car. So the amount of damage, like the car was still operable, but the amount of damage that was done was going to cost more than what he actually paid for the car. We had to have it totaled out, so he ended up getting another car after that. The accident that he was in, it was some lady was, what was she doing? I think she was trying to turn when she wasn't supposed to turn, and she caused this big accident. So my brother basically slammed on his brakes to avoid it, and it was a very split-second decision. It would have ended very differently had he not slammed on his brakes. But yeah, that is the story of how his car got stolen. I know it was a really short story time. I was trying to keep it as short as possible, so this will be easier to edit. But tell me if anything like this has ever happened to you guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe. I do make new videos every week. So yeah, that was a short story time. I will have some more videos up for you guys. Be sure to check out my website, jasminebakerart.com, and get yourself some art. I am trying to clear out all of these prints in my inventory. I am running out of space for stuff, so I'm trying to get rid of everything right now. I am definitely running out of space. It's getting kind of annoying. Everything is collecting dust. So remember, if you are going to steal a car, do not leave your personal papers in there. Bye.